Hi, you have reached the National Human Trafficking Hotline. Para español, por favor oprima uno. We operate under the federal definition of trafficking and are able to help adults and minors who have been forced to work against their will, or forced to have sex for money or something of value. If you or someone you know needs immediate help, please press 2. For all other requests, please hold while we route you to the next available advocate. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911.
Hello friends and welcome. It is the 11th of August and in front of me I have a great Neon Revolt article basically condensing everything that has happened, including Q posts, including the Clinton Foundation, including plane fags. Everything that we need to know is condensed into this blog. If you're unfamiliar with Neon Revolt, I suggest going to neonrevolt.com and checking out every one of his articles and blogs. Also donate to his Gab and buy some merch while you're at it. If you are new to this channel, I would suggest clicking that blue bell because people have been telling me I've been shadow banned again, if it ever went away, right? Also, if you're new to Patreon, please check out mine. It's True Reporting, and follow me on Twitter at True Reporting. So anyways, guys, it's good to be back, and I am stoked to get into all of this news. This is a great article, so let's do it. This is True Reporting. Neon Revolt says, it's entitled, Now They All Lose. Hashtag New Q, New QAnon, Great Awakening. Things just got serious. For those who don't know, QAnon's trip code got cracked today, and while we get into the details of that in a bit, I think this is important just so we can understand the scale of this invisible war raging around us. So we see two doomsday planes up right now. One of them is at 40,000 feet. And doomsday planes, what are those? Boeing E-6 Mercuries. The E-6B model, deployed in October 1998, also has the ability to remotely control Minuteman ICBMs using the Airborne Launch Control System. Uh-oh. Thanks, plane fags. Absolutely. So this plane fag showed up after Q had started dropping. And this is post 1831. Does POTUS make statements that are false? Knowing what you know now, start at 12 in the kill box. Think Haiti 1440. Think Watergate Commission removed. Why investigate in the kill box. Listen very carefully. Truth surrounded by evil. Never stop praying. Where we go one, we go all. Q. The red dinner. And you could go on here and just look up Donald Trump roasts Hillary Clinton and go to 1440. He basically pushes. He says that that kids go missing out of Haiti thanks to Hillary Clinton. That's paraphrasing, but that's pretty astonishing that he even went there. So I never get tired of watching these elites sweat. That said, read this drop in light of some details that emerged about last night's Clinton Foundation drop, which had the National Human Trafficking Hotline number attached to it. Right here we see anonymous post. National Human Trafficking Hotline leads to Polaris Project leads to Catherine Cohn. She was awarded an award by none other than Bill Clinton. Hashtag Anon speculated that the National Human Trafficking Hotline was actually being used as a honeypot to find and hunt down whistleblowers, which would explain, for instance, how so many of these individuals have died. They discover something called the appropriate authorities, only to find that authorities here are actually the bad guys. The good news is it looks like Trump has since flipped the Polaris project, and Peter Thiel, Polaris utilized Palantir technology and are now making sure the hotline is being used for good ends. You remember the Erie Thiel drew when he came out and publicly supported Trump. Peter Thiel endorses Donald Trump. It's time to end the era of stupid wars and rebuild our country. regarding Haiti. So Peter Thiel, obviously the billionaire VC, thinks Trump can restore America's tech. Regarding Haiti, here we go, guys. It should be very clear what POTUS is insinuating here, and we know the Clintons have a particular fondness for Haiti. We've talked about that extensively, so catch up on these posts if you hadn't read them yet. Bill and Hillary Clinton and their experience with the Haitian voodoo. The priest Beauvoir gave him a brief course in voodoo theology. He decided for a second run, and that turned out to be a success. This time he won and was on his way to the White House. Bill learned one good lesson from Haiti, and he wrote, "The Lord works in mysterious ways. Once a voodoo sorcerer was supplied to him by his friend, the exiled by coup John Bertrand Aristide, and that sorcerer put a curse on the incumbent President George W. Bush by manipulating a doll made in the president's image." That is insane. Podesta emails on Wednesday, June 3rd, 2015. Tyranny to Susan. I can wipe the smile off my face. Thanks so much. All right. The morally repugnant elite and their bad juju. Haiti, DR, human trafficking, QAnon, Great Awakening. These are all articles that he has posted. More developing lead on the boards right now. I'm going to assume you know some basics about Haiti and the things QAnon has posted about it previously, and dive right in. So yeah, we see all these things. A lot of articles. QAnon just started. The child trafficking drops. Clinton's. QAnon has said that these would be coming for a long time. Not everyone is going to be able to understand or handle what's right around the corner. Oh, how far we've come in such a short time, Neon Revolt says. Still, Anons expand, starting with scrutinizing the relationship between HRC and then President of Haiti, Rene Preval. Right here it says, President Preval and Secretary Clinton jointly reaffirm that the government of Haiti and the United States will continue to cooperate under this shared understanding to promote the most safe and effective rescue, relief, recovery, and reconstruction efforts possible. On the secretive discussion of the coup by the core group, Scientific writes that the UN's Moulet wanted Rene Preval removed from office in immediate detail. Scientific describes a meeting on election day, November 28, 2010, when Moulet tried to remove the president of Haiti, Rene Preval, from power and send him into exile. Yeah, pretty wild stuff. So let's get back into what he says here. Anons thinks he sees a connection between the WikiLeaks and Watch the Water. So, real quick, let's re-dig Haiti on WikiLeaks right here. Haiti, the Prime Minister Jean-Max Bellarive conspired against then-President Rene Preval by a secret core group. Absolutely, we went over that. Okay, WikiLeaks and Watch the Water. Tsunami recover. Yeah, then we see Clinton here, sliming his way in from HRC WikiLeaks email 629. It says here, Tsunami equals Watch the Water. PDF Clinton Foundation annual report from 2006. Images containing text tsunami from that report. Mr. Legrand said the situation was similar to the aftermath of the tsunami in Asia 5 years ago. Haiti is a total trafficking hub, he says. Refugees and internal displaced persons. Oh, man. 37,000. And this includes only IDPs from the 2010 earthquake living in camps or camp-like situations. Right here, Haiti developed a national anti-trafficking action plan and enacted a law prohibiting all forms of human trafficking. Although judicial corruption hampered its implementation, progress was made in investigating and prosecuting suspected traffickers, but no convictions were made. The support campaigns... The government sustained limited efforts to identify and refer victims to protective services, which were provided mostly by NGOs without government support. Campaigns to raise awareness about child labor and child trafficking continued through 2015. Get a load of this, Anons. Current situation. Haiti is a source, transit, and destination country for men, women, and children subjected to forced labor and sex trafficking. Most of Haiti's trafficking cases involve children in domestic servitude vulnerable to physical and sexual abuse. Dismissed and runaway child domestic servants often end up in prostitution, begging, or street crime. Other exploited populations, including low-income Haitians, child laborers, and women and children living in IDP camps dating to the 2010 earthquake. So basically the Clintons go in there, they reap the benefits, steal the kids, and there you go. That's what happens. They are vultures. And yes, the foster care system is royally messed up also. Hillary and children, what the F? Hillary Rodham Clinton has served on the board of directors of the Children's Defense Fund. Hillary Rodham Clinton made the above contributions to the professional literature more than a decade ago. What has happened since the publication of these papers? Like many women in modern American, Hillary Rodham Clinton has had balance to her personal and professional life. What began with a remarkable contribution to legal scholarship at a young age has shifted to a balance between raising a family and continuing her work on behalf of children, along with trying to hold down a legal career and obtaining a partnership in a major law firm. So basically this is dating back to the 80s, probably in Arkansas. In spite of her work with the Children's Defense Fund, the last dozen years have been quiet and uneventful in terms of progression for children. The great hope and expectation of the 1980s did not materialize. I wonder why. As mentioned earlier, in 1977, it was estimated that almost 500,000 children were in foster care, but that as a result of achievement of the permanency planning movement. The numbers had been reduced to almost half of that in the early 1980s. The most recent figures indicate that the numbers of children in foster care had almost doubled and is now approaching 500,000. This compares to Japan with a population of about half the size of the United States, which has less than 3,000 children in foster care. During the last dozen years, the number of reports of child abuse and neglect have increased by more than 150% in 1980 to more than 2,500,000 in 1991. The rate is more than 10 times higher than Canada. The rate of child abuse and neglect reported in the United States is many times higher than any other industrialized nation in the world. Let that sink in. We'll continue on. This is so crazy. The rate is more than 10 times higher than Canada, just across the border, and magnitudes higher than Germany, Italy, France, Japan, and other industrialized countries. As documented by the Children's Defense Fund, the number of children living in poverty in the United States stopped going down and has begun increasing. Johnson, Miranda, Sherman, and Wheel, 1991. Children now represent the single highest category of people in poverty. In the United States, more than 10 million children live in poverty, an increase of more than 1 million in the last decade. Almost 5 million children live in households with less than one half the poverty line income. Perhaps most staggering of all, the situation of young black children in the United States. Almost 2 out of every 3 children born in the U.S. will be born to single unwed mothers, most of whom live in severe poverty. That is due to the Democratic Party breaking up the family and pushing the blame on the black man, which is sickening and it's sad. Regarding Hillary's removal from the Watergate Commission, Neon Revolt says, I've been working on an article for a bit, and frankly, it'd be really controversial, and I don't have enough evidence to really say one way or the other. But this kind of plays into that subject. See, my understanding is that Hillary didn't actually want Nixon impeached. Kind of. Odd for a Democrat, right? You catch the president committing a crime, and as the opposition party, you would think you would leap on the opportunity, right? Well, no, not in Hillary's case. See, the story is she wanted him to stay in so that Ted Kennedy could run a successful presidential campaign for the next election. But that doesn't make too much sense either. Bill and Hillary got married in 1975. Watergate was in 1972, so she's a single D.C. staffer at this point. Doing whatever it took to climb the ranks, she earned a reputation as dishonest and cutthroat. What if she was involved with all this human trafficking stuff way back then? See, the article that I told you I was working on, the controversial one, is regarding Fiona Barnett and some of the claims she has been making for years, frankly. Watergate was pedogate. The Watergate break-in was strictly based on one thing: the pedophile records that were being kept at the Democratic National Headquarters. The Watergate break was strictly based on one thing: the pedophile records that were being kept at the Democratic National Headquarters. Pedogate reached the public via social media. YouTube featured interviews with credible witnesses who testified to the extent of an international child sex trafficking operation involving U.S. politicians and the CIA. That was when I noticed retired NYPD Detective James Rothstein. The Pedogate ring, he explained, was the same network he investigated for 35 years. Rothstein observed the perpetrators were doing everything in their power to shut the Pedogate story down. He predicted the perpetrators would successfully bury it. Like every other time, their network was almost exposed. Rothstein explained that the NYPD was no ordinary state police force, but a leading investigative agency with national and international offices. Back in 1966, Rothstein became the first police detective assigned to investigating the prostitution industry. He soon discovered the underground sexual blackmail operation that compromised politicians with child prostitution. Human compromise is the term he uses for his honey trap process. Rothstein and his colleagues found that up to 70% of the top U.S. government leaders, 70% of the U.S. government leaders had been compromised. The CIA conducted the human compromise operation, while the FBI's task was to cover it up. In 1972, Rothstein arrested one of 5 Watergate burglars, CIA operative Frank Sturgis. During a subsequent 2-hour interrogation, he discovered the truth about Watergate. The burglars sought something they nicknamed the Book, which listed the Democrat and Republican politicians who accessed child prostitutes, their sexual proclivities, the amounts they paid to rape kids, and such. What if Hillary was actually trying to protect Nixon in order to keep the whole house of cards from falling down? Now, I know the above linked article is going to be very hard for many to process, let alone believe. But I'm not going to go into the whole Fiona Barnett stuff today. Believe me, that needs a whole article unto itself, which is what I've been attempting to write for some time, a beat. I need more evidence supporting some of her assertions before I publish anything along those lines. I mean, doing so would be attacking Billy Graham, a man who's not even around to defend himself anymore. That's what publishing such an article would mean. I don't take that lightly, so I've held off. But I will say, I don't like what I've been seeing and reading so far. For the record, I tend to believe Fiona Barnett, but let's get back to Q for the time being. HRC has taken a number of villages from Haiti. And that is very true. Reread drops. At some point, it will not be safe for them to walk down the street. Pure evil. How many in Washington and those around the world in power worship the devil? Conspiracy? Fake news? The world is watching Q. So many are literal Luciferians. If I publish that Fiona Barnett Billy Graham article, I'll go into more detail. But until then, yeah, there are tons. This is just a small list of things requiring ID, but not considered racist. Yeah, adopt a pet, so you can see this. Apply for welfare, apply for Medicaid, apply for Social Security, apply for a job, apply for a mortgage, purchase a gun, purchase ammo for a gun, adopt a pet. Yeah, so these are all the things requiring an ID. Pawn shop transaction, donating blood, buy a house, condo, rent a house, and apartment. This all revolves around removing Nunez. California and New York, notorious voter fraud, controlled and coordinated by corrupt in the kill box, plus so-called volunteers. So-called volunteers, right? State officials. Logical thinking. Why are Democrats opposed to implementing voter ID law? Q. Absolutely. That's what they do. They use illegals to get their votes, and you know, that's just what they do. That's their scam, and it's in due time that we have a president to come here and put his foot on the throat of this happening, right? They have a top 2 primary where it doesn't matter what your party affiliation is. The only people who get on the statewide primary are the 2 individuals with the most votes. Doesn't matter if both candidates are from the same party. It's a sheer numbers game and a rigged game at that. After all, how better to ensure your party keeps winning elections than by disqualifying any opponents while simultaneously stuffing the ballot box? Voter ID would mean the end of the Democratic Party nationwide. They literally cannot win unless they cheat. So they're going to do everything they can to make sure that they keep on cheating. I'm getting pumped up. Note from Q's article, California Republic. Dems seek GOP wipeout in California, Irvine, California, and still others work for another new type of startup that Orange County hasn't seen in recent years, a serious and professionally ran Democratic congressional campaign. For generations, Orange County has been the bastion of Western conservatism, the foundation on which Republicans such as Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, and Pete Wilson built their statewide campaigns. As recently as 2000, the Republican presidential nominee George W. Bush spent previous time campaigning here. But after Hillary Clinton became the first Democrat to win Orange County since Franklin Roosevelt, Democrats now believe several congressional seats in the Los Angeles suburbs and exurbs are critically to their hopes of reclaiming the House of Representatives this November. By what? Cheating. They just have to learn how to run a campaign here. No, they don't. They just need to know how to stuff the ballot boxes and mess with voting machines in districts where the party has not been seriously competitive for decades, and how to overcome roadblocks Republicans have erected in the lead up to the midterm elections. Democrats are trying to learn how to build their capacity and fast. The Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee opened a satellite office at another suburban office park about 15 minutes away from Porter's headquarters, from which it coordinates field programs aimed at knocking on doors in critical districts. As evidence that their strategy is working, Democrats point to markedly higher turnout in June's primary election, when thousands more people than usually voted for Democrat candidates, though many were likely driven to the polls by a competitive race for governor. Sure, Neon Revolt says, that must be it. The Dems are just really super ultra mega good at campaigning in a state they've never had to campaign in before. Pfft, come on, it's a cover for their aggressive voter fraud. When questioned, they'll explain it away as, oh, we campaigned harder this year. See? Lies, lies, lies. They never thought she would lose in post 1834. Now they all lose. Q plus. Boom. I never thought she would lose in that ugly face. And now, here is where things get spicy today because Q's trip codes got compromised. We see the post here. Q. That little symbol in front of the Q, that means not or negotiation. In other words, this is not Q posting. This little thing right here. And here's the content of the paste bin link saved for posterity. An appeal to patriots. I'm scared for my country. I am especially scared for you good people who look to this space for guidance. I have seen my folks are suffering. No one has money. Half of my family is suffering from issues relating to drug abuse. Honest work is getting hard to find for the ill-connected. I seek accomplishments of my parents and grandparents and wonder how so many of my generations are barely holding on, fighting hard to stay in the middle class. Ways of life that existed for a century are vanishing, often because of decisions made via algorithms whose inner workings cannot be comprehended by any single living human being. The world is shifting away under our feet, largely due to the inscrutable forces with no historical parallel. Change is everywhere and can be sourced to nowhere. Sneering elites in government and the media lock down on us and assure us that this is all our fault. It is difficult to know who to trust. In times like these, we reach out for comfort we can, for any comfort we can. We want to help. We want to put our meager power together with others and fix it all. There are people out there in the world who will take advantage of this powerful need. Politicians, business leaders, religions, and others. I firmly believe that all of you love the United States of America and revere the work of our founding fathers, mighty men who led the world in skill and learning. Men like Jefferson, Madison, Washington, and Hamilton. Men who revered reason and the exploration of natural law. Over and over again in their writings, they expound the worldview of enlightenment, among whose core value is that there is a singular natural order, true natural order established by our Creator, and that all things must obey the law, and that this natural law is fundamentally knowable by humankind. That from that order flows the equality of man and the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. On this bias, our fathers forged our great nation. They did not always agree on what should be built upon that firm foundation, but through conflict and struggle with one another, they built the great compromise that is embodied by our Constitution, whose fruit has been unparalleled freedom. It is my belief that anyone who betrays those founding values by asking us to suspend trust in well-constructed argument and the knowable is betraying the foundation of our law, our history, and our civilization. I believe that exhortations to abandon friends and family in favor of numerology and cryptic messages are the product of charlatans, not patriots. It is my belief that Q is a charlatan. It is my belief that Q is a young, untrained American man who is playing games with your faith, your hope, and your love of country, mostly because he finds it amusing. I believe he may call you to violence, not to save our home, but merely for entertainment. There are many arguments for this, but I will name a few that Q has been gleefully rubbing our noses in since the beginning. First, he names himself Q, after the Department of Energy Q's clearance. I have had the opportunity to work in our country's national labs, and I have worked with some of those clever, hardworking folks that hold a Q clearance. A Q clearance grants access to carefully compartmentalized nuclear weapon information, and one who holds a Q clearance is a scientist, engineer, and manager who is deemed trustworthy by classifying authorities. Q clearance holders are people who employ our nation's most dangerous technical secrets to manufacture and maintain weaponry that can end the world in a flash of baleful fire. They are not experts in spycraft and combat operations. If for some curious reason our president put a Q clearance individual in charge of such an operation, it is not believable that anyone would issue commands and share national security information with strangers via a cobbled together website of uncertain security, particularly if said website's claim to fame was a loud public argument about video games. If that catastrophic chain of events were to take place somehow, this nuclear black ops guru would not stoop so low as to secure this essential line of communication with a DES Crypt3 base trip code hash, with the excuse that it is necessary in order to maintain portability between 4chan style image boards. This is not a concern of a serious man. Plus, DES has been considered extremely insecure for a quarter century and can be cracked in hours on commodity hardware, as has been demonstrated here. The presumptive hero would under no circumstances embed an insult and a lie into that very cryptographic signature. See technical discussion that follows for detail. The person who would do this is not a patriot, nor an operator, or a hero. This person is a vain child. It is hard as hell for me to admit when I've been fooled, and I have been in that place. It is humiliating. I beg you not to turn away from this message and to absorb the short-term suffering that recognition and repentance entails. I don't think that you will find it impossible because you are tough. If you have trusted Q, you have lived a hard existence these last months. The world is hard enough as it is without shouldering the responsibility of fighting a competent, irredeemably evil enemy on your own. It is a terribly isolating thing to escape and survive. You've likely made friends with others who believe, and you've endured this difficult world view together. Embrace that friendship and camaraderie because it is a rare thing in our lonely age. Take that energy together and go out and use it as our founders intended. Register each other to vote, canvass, run for office, persuade your fellows, read everything, and trust only that which is worth your heart, your effort, your blood, and treasure. Most of all, do not be discouraged for long because your country still needs you. Our foes are merely human and can be overcome by you and me and others with faith and sincere human effort. Yeah, so So basically this guy is debunking Q. See this right here? This is a clown operation. Absolutely. Some pretty transparent COINTELPRO shenanigans going on here. Nice try though. Still, Q's trip code had been compromised, which led a flood of posts like, well, yeah. You can just look at it that he would never test confirming if trips have been cracked. We are Q, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, obviously. Keck, nonsense, gibberish, and general foolishness. Finally, the board owner took control of the compromised trip code and blacklisted it. Perfect. Hack, trip, blacklisted. Absolutely testing. Now, if you know anything about trip codes, you know that the trip codes that begin with the exclamation point aren't very secure. There are reasons for this that are beyond the scope of this article, but yeah, I echo board owner's sentiments here. Why use an insecure trip code when secure options are available? Mother effers got baited. Surprised it took the clown so long. I wrote this on Gab at the time. Patriots fight was never compromised. This is why Q needed his own board. It was always an extra fallback. And thank God he's using the extra secure trip this time. What you just witnessed was a CIA disinfo op unfold in real time. I'll update the Q archive as soon as I can get the right files from the maintainer. Until then, know that posts 1834 to beyond are not Q. I should note here that not Q has posted on the boards before, although I will admit this seems like it would have been a better course of action for the clowns. If they missed the opportunity, then they truly are spectacularly stupid. Anon spells the whole thing out for people who may still have trouble following along. And I'm not going to read all that because it's getting long. This post popped up, but since has been removed. As far as I can tell, it's post 132 on Patriots Fight, and this is the only cap I have of it. We are under heavy attack. A, B, C took control. Trip code compromised. No, 131 last. Trip update coming. Q. Q seemingly confirms that it was a CIA-based attack. Q then changed his trip. This finally instituting the very secure version. New trip safe confirmed. PF safe. He would then reiterate, Patriots, we are under extreme heavy attack. Stay strong. Stay together. Q stringers, I have to wonder if this was related to tracking whoever broke Q's trip code. Code, we see, distress, check in, kill boxes, so check it now, route T, Q. This post was deleted as well. Packet HDQ, and then a ton of numbers, Q. But Anon noticed a connection between the timestamps of these. 1144 to 1344, 55, 55. What are the odds 4455 timestamps? Is Q trolling them? Q is in total control. Passwords tell story. Timestamps matter down to the second. There are communication. Pain is coming. Relax and watch. Packet HDQ. Something was transmitted. Something related to all these elites losing. I don't want to get my hopes up, but was this the transmission of the HRC video? And this was Q's last post as of this writing. Fishing is fun. Fish in a barrel. These people are stupid. You catch fish with bait. What could fish possibly mean? Anon speculates fish. Foreign intelligence service hacker. And then, well, there's also this. Fish farms fighting poverty in Haiti's rural communities. Whoa. Like I said in the beginning, things just got serious. Thanks so much for reading and sharing my articles today. My regular readings will know that I recently launched a QAnon hat, which you can read about here. Exactly. Be sure to go to neonrevolt.com, check out his merch, donate to his Gab. All foot traffic that you're watching, I'm sending to Neon Revolt. If you found this informative and you enjoyed it, I know this was a long video, but a lot's been going on, and this was very detailed, and he did a great job. Like I said, if you found this informative and you enjoyed it, please subscribe to my channel. Please hit me with those likes, because the more likes I get, this channel will be pushed into another algorithm, so as well this video, and more people will get eyes on it, thus spreading the truth. Please follow me on Twitter at True Reporting, and if you would care to, please donate to my Patreon. $10 and more of a donation will get you free shipping of the merch. T-shirts will be here probably mid-September, and get ready for a website too. With that being said, guys, I hope you have a great weekend, and I will talk to you probably Sunday. Take care, everybody. Bye.